Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Q&A, so let me get my hat on, and let's knock this out. Alright, first question. What can I do when in your novice program and I can't do a deadlift with proper form when adding 1 pound per workout? I currently lift 102 kilograms, but with a little arch in my lower back. Alright, brother, it kind of depends on how big of an arch are we talking about. When you say a little arch in your lower back, you need to video it from the side and actually get an idea of if there's actually an arch when you're at the bottom. You got to remember, sometimes you'll see a little bit of a lumbar curvature in the lower back when someone starts their deadlift right before they do a hip drop maybe. But if it's neutral or in a arch position, when they actually make the break off the floor, they're okay. So you need to assess that case by case. What you also need to do is probably step back, reassess your technique and work on your technique a little bit. In fact, you should probably even step back and quit progressing on my program completely till you get your technique down on all your exercises if you're really worried about it for a week or two, then go back to progressing. It's not really a big deal there. The other thing that you need to factor in, when it comes to my program, I specifically kind of break down for you on the novice program, when do you do a weight reset? I'll let you think on that one for a second. You do a weight reset either when you fail to make a rep, you have a really slow grinder, or your form breaks down. Now, if you're having an issue with your back rounding in a way that you're uncomfortable with, that you think is bad technique, then what does that mean? We count that as a failure. So if you failed because the technique broke down or you had a serious grinder or bad form, you will reset the weights. You'll reduce the weight 10%, right? So you'll drop down to 90 kilos and then slowly build back up from there with better technique. And that's the whole idea, because oftentimes when you reach your limits on an exercise, a given number of reps that you can do with a certain weight, your form breaks down or you hit grinders on the last rep or two. That's when you know that you've pushed beyond what you're really capable of doing with proper technique and form. And in a program like this, you reset, because when you reduce the weight back, you'll be able to go back to the good form. You'll be able to progressively overload again and hopefully go up. And then when the form starts to break down again or you get grinders, you back down. And it's just a seesaw effect, back and forth. And what happens every time you reduce the weight, it reinforces the good technique again with the 10% lighter weight. That's the whole idea. That's how the program works. So that's the whole point. You let it do that for you, because you're not adding weight every single workout. You're adding weight until you either fail, you grind a rep, or your technique breaks down. In this case, if your technique is breaking down, then that's how the program's written. It's time to reset the weight and then build it back up. And again, it's just going to be a gradual seesaw effect upwards. And that's how it works. Alright, next question. I've been training for 2 years now. My squat is 205 kilograms ass to grass, and my deadlift is 255 kilograms. Is it possible for me to reach 227.5 kilograms squat and 272.5 kilograms deadlift drug-free for a lifetime goal beltless? I weigh 186 kilograms. Here are the videos. Son, that's a hell of a question. Now, for those asking, I did look at his videos. This kid's strong as fuck. Alright, brother, from what I'm seeing in your videos, yeah, 2 years, your progress has been phenomenal for 2 years. Alright, you should be very proud of yourself. You should be very proud of what you've accomplished, because you know what? The majority of guys can't do what you've done at 2 years, and especially not at your body weight. Yeah, some of them might be doing it when they're over 100 kilos, but to have done what you've done in 2 years is downright phenomenal as a drug-free lifter. So what that tells me is you probably have great genetics for strength, and you probably have a hell of a work ethic. That's a good combination of things to have. All right, that's a good combination. As far as you reaching those goals, what you're going to have to realize at this point, you're 2 years in, you're going to slow way down. But considering you've gotten to a 205 kilogram squat, you're wanting to add 22.5 kilograms over the next 2 or 3 years as a lifetime drug-free goal. Yeah, I think it's totally doable. I think it's achievable for you. And I think that's a worthy goal for you to reach towards. I think it is within your capabilities based upon what I've seen so far. So given that it's your goal, that it is within your capabilities to do so, yeah, I say pursue it, go for it. Deadlift, same thing. I mean, you're talking about, honestly, you're talking about less than a 20 kilogram increase on your deadlift. Considering where you are at the 2-year mark, I'm going to be honest with you. I think you're being a little conservative. I think that you're going to be able to hit a heavier deadlift than that. That's 17.5 kilos. From where you are now at 2 years, if you don't pass that within the next year, like if you don't blow your current lifetime goal out of the water on the deadlift in the next 12 to 16 months, I'll be shocked. I'll be shocked if you don't surpass your goal, your lifetime goal, in less than 2 years from now. I think that's a reasonable goal for the next year. And I think you'll probably hit it. Given the way you've progressed so far, I think your lifetime deadlift goal isn't a lifetime goal. I think that's doable inside of a year, maybe less. So again, I say go for it. But all I have to say is, looking at your lifts at where you're at, damn son. All right, next question. How come that my deadlift obviously prospers from very low volume? I hit a PR of 600 pounds at a meet while only doing deadlift once a week for low volume. While my squat and bench need 2 to 3 sessions per week with double to triple the volume. Thanks, Jason. You know, it depends on the person. Honestly, most training programs out there have you do more volume and frequency on the bench press and the squat than the deadlift. The reason for that, you can build your deadlift using other exercises, okay? You can build your deadlift using other exercises, and the deadlift is very, very taxing. When you start doing higher frequency or higher volume deadlifting in general, you have to take a back seat to a lot of your other exercises to accommodate the recovery from it. So that's the only reason it's generally done that way, and that's the reason you've done well, is because you're probably running a well-rounded program that has more focus on the squat and the bench press. And rightfully so. If you're going to be powerlifting, those are 2/3 of your total. Those are 2 out of your 3 lifts. They need a lot of focus. And generally, since they're easier to recover from, you can put more workload in on those. And the thing is, those exercises, particularly the squat and then some of your accessory work that is less taxing on you, will actually build your deadlift strength. Meaning, if you're doing, say, Pendlay rows, and you're doing the squat, those are accessories for the deadlift. They will improve your deadlift even if your deadlift stayed stationary. Like if you were to come in for the next 3 months, right, and you were to leave your deadlift stagnant, you didn't try to increase the weight on the bar on the deadlift, and you came in and did a 5-rep set once a week on the deadlift, right, but your squat and your Pendlay rows went up 10%, and then you were to try to hammer, build up to a max deadlift over a 3-week phase, your deadlift will probably go up. All right, even though you only maintain the strength on it. Because the thing is, sometimes on some programs, your squats and your accessory work build your overall full body strength. And you're deadlifting to maintain the deadlift technique. And that is a viable method for powerlifting. And so that's probably what's happening here, and it's going to work, because if you get stronger on those other lifts, any lift that's an accessory to the deadlift, if you get stronger on it, your deadlift tends to go up a little bit. And there are guys who do that. There are guys who in training don't even do max deadlifts at any point during the year till they start peaking for a meet, because they let all the other exercises build up their weak links. The deadlift is good at finding your weak link in your body because it uses so many muscles. But if you build all those muscles up to where that weak link gets stronger in your deadlift, and you maintain good technique by training your deadlift just enough for the technique, your deadlift max tends to improve on its own. Other people who want to specialize in the deadlift will do a lot more deadlifting, but in a well-rounded program, the way that you're doing it's the norm. Just for those reasons. Simply put, because you can recover from higher workloads on the squat and the bench press, so you might as well, so that they go up more, and then you let that and your accessory work build the deadlift more. But you could certainly do it the other way, but if you do it the other way, your deadlift is going to become your primary focus, and you're going to find exercises like your bench press will sometimes suffer for it just a little bit. So that's kind of what's going on. So hopefully that makes sense to you as far as why you're seeing it work that way. All right, next question. Hey Jason, I'm going to run Bulgarian Light for 6 months where I'll be squatting 5 times a week. Can you give me some additional insight so I get the most out of it? And don't go to Snap City at the same time. I know you said that whenever you get joint connective tissue pain, inflammation, you should deload, but I honestly never get that. I'm usually just weaker and less enthusiastic, and that's how I know I just need a deload, but on Bulgarian Light, I'm thinking of deloading every 4th week just to stay safe. I also currently do liss cardio 3 times a week on off days. Should I just ditch it doing Bulgarian Light so it doesn't interfere? Is it not a big deal even if it's done on the same days as lifting? I'm a drug-free powerlifter, by the way. All right, brother. Bulgarian Light, no, I don't want you to deload every 4th week. You're going to find on Bulgarian Light you're not going to get the same type of burnout you've been getting on your other training. So no, you don't base it on feeling a little more fatigued and weak. Your training max goes down on days you feel more fatigued and weak. You deload on Bulgarian Light when you get joint pain or connective tissue pain or very serious drops in strength. That's when you deload. Don't just throw them in there every 4th week. It's going to interfere with some of the benefits of the program. All right, if the program's managed correctly and you don't go too aggressively on the training maxes, you keep them at true training maxes, you shouldn't overtrain. Again, if sleep and food are on point. As far as the cardio goes, if you've been doing it a while and you're used to doing the liss cardio 3 days a week, it won't interfere with your Bulgarian training. In fact, if anything, done correctly, it will facilitate extra recovery. Think of it as active recovery for you. If you're used to the volume of it already, just don't change the volume. Don't increase the amount of cardio you're doing. But I certainly wouldn't recommend that you take it out because now that it's become a mainstay in your training, you're adapted to it, it's only going to be beneficial to you to continue to do so. So do not cut it out. Yeah, because again, it will help you speed up your recovery, and if it's done correctly, that cardio might reduce the amount of time that you have to deload, or the frequency that you can deload, so that you can actually train for longer phases without needing to deload, sometimes do that extra liss cardio, again, if it's not taken to the extreme. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time in part 3.